Thanks for joining us in another DK Custom Products video. My name's Kevin, this is Dwayne, and today we're going to talk about something new that we learned reading on the forums last week. Dwayne's going to share 3 different posts that we read on the forum last week.
Yeah.
And one of them was a post that, the first one was a post that I was reading. I'm going, man, why is this guy's Tri-Glide running bad?
Yeah, because I think this has happened to all of us where you'll get like a weird noise. You cannot figure out what it is.
Yeah, and he said the bike was sluggish and not accelerating as good and vibrating and stuff. So anyway, why don't you go ahead and read what this guy said.
All right, so this guy has a 2021 Tri-Glide with 11,500 miles. He says, I took it on a 100-mile ride last Friday, and it ran great. Then yesterday, on a Sunday, me and the wife go for a ride, and the motor was running rough. You can feel the vibration, especially between 2,700 and 3,100 RPMs in 4th, 5th, and 6th gear. It doesn't have the same smooth power it once did.
So that was his first post, and I'm going, and of course a lot of people responded, you know, maybe it's bad gas or maybe it's this or that.
Yeah, the normal stuff you troubleshoot.
Yeah, and I'm going, you know, I'm wondering what the problem is, because I know that this guy has ordered some parts from us. And, you know, so I'm paying attention to what it is. And then he posts a little bit later.
So that first post came in July, and then he posted it about a month later in August. So I guess this guy's been chasing his tail for a whole month. Like, what the hell is this? It's noisy. My bike feels sluggish. What could it be? So he goes on to say now he has 11,000 miles. He has 500 miles of what the hell's going on. And he says he's still having the clunking noise. And it was on the right rear side. He finally pinpointed where it was coming from. And, of course, he felt like acceleration was sluggish. I noticed that there were several streaks of grease on the rim like I had blown out from the bearing, so I nursed it home. I made an appointment at my Harley dealer and dropped it off. I was told that the outer hub assembly bearings were shot. After the dealer sent pictures to the mothership, they decided that the whole hub assembly needed to be replaced instead of just the bearings. It must have been bad as all the work was covered in full by the factory warranty. Now, when he says the entire hub assembly, he's talking about that whole axle housing.
Yeah, the housing, you know, the whole differential and the housing that goes out that the axles actually go in. And what's amazing is I've only ever heard clicking, you know, ticking or clicking or a little bit of looseness when that axle bearing retainer plate goes bad and starts bowing out. This was so bad, his bearing retainer plate had let that bearing move around so much in the housing that the bike felt, it was clunking. It wasn't clicking, it was clunking.
You know it's bad when he thought the motor was running rough.
Yeah, and it felt like the whole bike was riding rough, so he thought it was the engine that was rough. And then Harley went ahead and under warranty, it says under warranty, right? Under warranty, they replaced not only the bearings and, of course, the axle bearing retainer plate, but also the entire hub housing that the axles go in. And so that was a new one for us that it can get that bad. And didn't he say something about it? He was glad he wasn't going 75 miles an hour down the road?
Yeah, and keep in mind, that was only 11,000 miles, so that's a premature failure of any bearing.
So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, axle bearing retainer plates, we'll put up in the corner here a video, and that is Harley just uses a cheap pot metal plate to hold the bearing into the hub.
Right.
Well, that plate, because of lateral forces, can get bowed, and then it doesn't hold that bearing in good anymore, and then that bearing can start flopping around, getting loose in there, and cause all kinds of problems, which we covered in the video that we linked up above. But this was a new thing that this guy's was so bad, he actually thought the engine was running rough and that the power was sluggish. And then further on in the same thread that this guy posted in, another guy posted.
So the guy says, bored yesterday morning, so I decided that I would pull axles now instead of waiting for winter. So he's being proactive about it. Here's a picture of the right-hand retainer plate and bearing. This is at 24,800 miles. Obviously, should have replaced the retainer plate with the DK version earlier. So this guy's aware that, you know, we make a heavy-duty plate that also has the O-ring, and it's just a common sense upgrade. Just, you know, be proactive, because when it fails, it's failed. You know, that's your bearing.
Yeah. And you can see from this picture how banged up that bearing is just from slamming around inside that axle housing.
Right. Bearing is not supposed to move. It's not supposed to walk around. And when you have a very weak retainer plate and you got all those G-forces flexing on it when you're going in and out of curves on these strikes, it's just going to walk around.
When it flexes out here, it flexes just a little. The splined end of the axle flexes a lot, because, you know, an eighth of an inch here is a half an inch over here.
Imagine if you could have a camera in there and see what's happening. Like, wow, it'd be very uneasy.
And that's why every now and then you read about the entire rear ends of the Harleys blowing up, because the splines have just got too worn. They're just moving around too much. But anyway, just wanted to share those posts with you, because we have had a lot of folks that have had clicking. They've had a little bit of looseness that they feel. We've never had a report before where it was so bad that the engine actually felt like it was running rough. It had nothing to do with the engine. It was just coming up from that loose axle bearing retainer plate.
And you and I discussed before we even started filming this, is how is this not a recall? You know what I mean? Like, I got a letter in the mail the other day that said the shock, the bolt that holds the shock on my Softail is defective. I've never even heard of that being an issue, but we hear of this issue all the time. Like, how is this not a recall? But, you know, I don't question Harley anymore. I've learned that in 8 years of work. Stop wondering why.
2-year warranty, and after that, it's not their problem. And the vast majority of people may or may not have that problem within 2 years. Mm-hmm. But even if they do have it, they don't necessarily know it.
That's
so
true.
No warranty claim ever gets done on it.
That's true. Now, these axle bearing retainer plates fit all 2009 and up OEM Harley models, the Freewheeler, the Tri-Glide, the new RG3, all the way up to current. And I don't expect Harley to make any changes anytime soon. But if you have any questions at all about fitting one of these heavy-duty axle bearing retainer plates onto your Harley Trike, give me a call or shoot me an email to support@dkcustomproducts.com.
Y'all ride safe out there.